I'm standing here almost waist deep in a Texas creek for one reason and one reason only. I am following every path and trail that I can find on Google Earth that would have been the road ancient settlers took coming from the Colorado River down that way a couple miles up into Austin. So join me as I wade through these nasty Texas rivers and try to find every set of ancient cart ruts that I can.
I want to start out this video by giving credit to this paper by Michael Bucci, a characterization of cart ruts in Texas. He does a fantastic job of going into the really nitty-gritty technical details, a lot of really good measurements, some that we're going to do ourselves, but I'm going to link this paper below so you can go and see his research and his theories about this. Now this is a location along Bucci Creek, and we're just going to get a quick measurement of that, which is about 82.25 meters. Let's switch it over there to feet and see what we got, 270 feet. So that's how long it is. And if we can zoom in here and just let's get a width of it as well, see how wide it is. Yeah, right about 5 feet wide. So that's about what, 1.5 meters or so there in metric. The second location I found here is Bull Creek. Now, Bull Creek actually has a label by Google on it, which says ancient tracks. But like I said, there's really not that much information or details on all the sites. I find this location along Bull Creek pretty interesting because, as you can see, it has tracks that either converge together into one set of tracks or diverge depending on which direction of travel you're coming from. This is very similar to the Bucci Creek location I showed you first. Something to be really careful about anytime you're looking at stuff on Google Earth is natural features masquerading as something man-made. See all these cracks and crevices and grooves here? These are all natural, but sometimes when you're looking at them from Google Earth, they can seem to be a bit unnatural. So you got to be careful, especially if you're looking for cart tracks, that you're looking at the right spot. There are a couple of grooves up here as well, but they do seem pretty parallel. So when I get there on foot, I'm going to check out those for sure. I hesitate to call this location my discovery because I'm sure other people know about it, but I couldn't find any research about it. Look how long these cart tracks are. They go way up this creek, and like I said, I couldn't find anything else about it. So that's a prime location. Now I have to figure out how to get in here, but that's certainly something I'm gonna try to hike down the creek and go check out. I did see something up here as well, but it's really vague, and with the amount of woods, I'm not sure who owns it. That one is TBD whether I can get to or not. What I'm trying to show you here is the relationship to Bull Creek and the cart track locations to the Colorado River. As you can see, it's just a tributary of the Colorado River where stuff could be brought in by boat and then loaded on a heavy cart and then carried all the way up into Austin or vice versa down to the river, depending on what you have going on here. I found a bunch of information about an old sawmill that's along the river, so it's possible that heavy logs are being carted along here by settlers trying to get stuff down to the river or up from the river. I'm here in Austin, Texas, hunting for something that's pretty unique to the Americas. We all know that there's a lot of cart tracks in Spain, in different parts of Malta, but what people may not know is there's actually some really good sets of ancient cart tracks, or at least old cart tracks, right here in the US. There's another site in Arkansas as well, another one in Missouri. But we're here in Austin looking at a site along Bull Creek to try and see if we can find and just investigate some of these American cart tracks. Now, what I'll do is, what I normally do is start with the known and kind of work toward the unknown, which is pretty much the standard for archaeology. What I want to start with here is simply finding the tracks, gain some good measurements of them, and then just seeing what we can determine. Okay, so after a little hunting and searching around, I found them. They're actually underwater, and there's multiple tracks here, all kind of flowing and merging together, but heading generally from across the creek right up in this direction. So let's go ahead and follow them best we can. And these are kind of weird tracks because they almost look rounded. Like this is basically what we have, but underwater. See how it's basically like two little tracks and then a hump in the middle. So that's pretty unusual, I would say, for cart tracks as I've seen them, unlike Malta, for example. Okay, let's go ahead and keep following. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen cart tracks that were rounded like that. It's very interesting. And here we got a whole another set of the supposed cart tracks. All of these rounded grooves. Pretty straight grooves in the rock. It's almost like a really tiny set of cart tracks, right? So think about it like one wheel would be there and one wheel would be there, but that would be like a 4-inch wide cart. So that doesn't make sense. Okay, now as we come up to the bridge here, there's a lot more of these grooves. Pretty narrow, but you can definitely see them going on up. Let's find the set of tracks that's most defined and then measure between those grooves. I like that set there the most. Those are the easiest for me to see. You'll have to forgive the noise traffic. I'm literally under a bridge right now, so hopefully the background noise isn't too terrible. That's really strange because I've never seen cart tracks that look like a claw. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grooves. That's pretty unusual, I think. If you had a cart that was just rolling through here, it wouldn't be so precise. That looks like it was made in all one go. So let's go ahead and see how wide it is. So from center of that groove, 3 foot, 7.5 inches. Okay. And each groove is middle to middle, pretty much bang on 11 inches. 11 inches. 11 inches. Yeah, 11 inches. So each groove is 11 inches apart, and there's 5 of them total. I don't really know what to make of that. That's strange. I was expecting to find just like a single set of 2 tracks. Let's keep going up the river, see if that's all or what we have here. Just can't get over how strange those grooves look. You have the same pattern all the way down here. And then they go up, bump right up on this rock. Now this is a little bit narrower than we saw in the other section up there where it's 5 wide. That's so strange. I want to get you a low-down view so you can see just how convex this is. So you got 2 defined grooves and just like this bump pillow between them. It's the same exact format down here. Oh, that's so strange. I don't know of any wagon wheels that were two little tiny wheels and then like a bump in between them. I mean, kind of like a railroad tire. You know, if you think about something running on a rail through there, that's the only thing I think of that would be that narrow. Oh, here we got a really good example. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me that you'd have a tire that shape, but maybe I just don't know enough about ancient wagon tire shapes. It's just scored all over the place. Man, that would have been bumpy, just bumping down into the creek like that. Seems like it's the bumpiest route to go when you could have driven anywhere else. Okay, we are at site number 2 for the cart tracks in Austin, and we're trying to beat a storm. It's just starting to rain right now, so we'll see how far we can get. But here they are. Wow, that is a really nice sample what we have here. Nice and clear, beautifully formed, and a whole lot easier to find than they are at the first location I showed you. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that we found them right here. Look at that. Probably a good, 500 feet visible in this one spot alone. That is so nice. Much more consistent gauge, much more consistent shape for it's being very identifiable as cart tracks. We don't have that round, interesting pillow-shaped track like we did at that first location, which is quite interesting to me. Looks like they would have gone right up here, and then they decided to build a retaining wall right there and probably covered up any other samples that would have been around here. Oh, here we have an intersection where they merge. That's pretty cool right there. They overlap. One set goes that way, another set goes this way. I didn't see those when I first started walking. So, as I'm hiding under this bridge here with the cart tracks behind me, waiting for the hopefully brief downpour to stop, I think it'd be good to cover really quick just a couple things that have been going on in my mind as I've been walking through these. Now, I've tried to be really careful with not giving you any of my theories, ideas, impressions, just getting some measurements and showing you what I see. These are completely different than the first set of tracks. The first set of tracks, as you remember, 2 little parallel lines in one spot with a hump over it, which would mean that the wheel would have to be concave if it was indeed one wheel running through that track section. These here, way more just immediately identifiable. Yeah, those look like what you would see in Malta. Okay, so the rain has stopped a little bit. I'm gonna try to get some measurements here. Now, obviously there's many variations of wagons that could have been just cobbled together by a blacksmith and a farmer, but there's 2 main kinds. There's a prairie schooner that had 2.5-inch wide tires, and it is basically the half-size version of the larger Conestoga wagon. Those had 3 3/4 to 4-inch tires width. Now, it's hard to find measurements of the prairie schooner's width because it was basically a half-size version, as I said. But 64 inches is a pretty good width for one of the Conestoga wagons. Now, right here, it's measuring just slightly more than 5 feet. And now I'm doing middle to middle, just to try to make it the fairest possible. So we're at 5 feet and 5'4" right there, about in the middle. Now I'd like to pick one spot that's pretty defined, and here's the best I've seen to try to see what gauge tire we've got. Wow, look at that.
Obviously, if you count for some wiggle room, you know, tires hitting side to side, it's no wider than 5 inches at its widest point. Honestly, right, where it's, if you measure from just the rounded part, that's right at 4 inches. So at the shoulders, shoulder to shoulder, it's 4 inches. Very, very interesting. And how cool that we have these kind of places in America. So often we really do think in our minds, oh, to get to anything really cool, we have to go all the way to Malta. We have to go all the way to Turkey. We have to go all the way to these places. And for some stuff, that's true, but we have a lot of cool stuff right here in America, and I'm going to be showing you guys a whole lot more of that. I've already shown you guys the weird carved rocks in New Mexico, and one of my future videos is going to show not only more cart tracks and things like that, but starting to do some larger adventures, like tracking down some possible Viking carvings that are very controversial up in Oklahoma. Some petroglyphs that show possible Viking ships and stuff like that.
Okay, it's several days after I got rained out there in Austin, and I'm back in Austin tracking down a whole bunch more locations I found on Google Earth that had these cart tracks. So I've developed a pretty big picture of some places that are not listed on any map. There's the 2 known locations I was showing you guys. We're going to go to a few others that are, I think, related to this entire network of cart tracks. I'm going to show you where they go up from this tributary to the Colorado River and why I think they were made in the first place. So stick around to the end. We're going to look at them all first, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you guys everything I've found and kind of what I think is the picture of what's going on here. Okay, so if you look closely, you can see the cart tracks just starting to pop out of the weeds. See that deep, deep groove, indicative of these cart tracks. We see a second groove right there. And an interesting, almost like a curb. Look at that perfectly smooth corner of rock right at that edge. Let's go ahead and follow them out of the weeds so we can see. Oh man, look at that. Okay, interesting. So these are only maybe 3 foot apart, perfectly spaced, another 3 feet, perfectly spaced, another one. So that's interesting. So it's either 2 parallel tracks going one way, traffic could go one direction, the other direction, or something, which I've never seen a 4-wheeled cart quite like that, could have made them all in one direction. So once again, try to be careful about making conclusions at this point. Oh, it looks like they merge here. So we've got those 4 grooves, and look at that. We have a merge location. Look at that. Got the 2 tracks, that's what's going on. So that's so interesting. That's very, very interesting. So you can absolutely see what was going on here. You have a merge location. It's just like railroad, a railroad switch yard. You got tracks coming in from this side, tracks coming in from that side. Guys, this is so exciting. When you see something like merging tracks in America, this is not Malta. This is in the US. I just get absolutely tickled pink. This is just my favorite thing in the world. People don't realize how much stuff's in America. It's just not as publicized. Okay, let's dig into all this. Let's follow these tracks. And it's so strange because look how wide these are. So you got them really wide here and then really narrow there. So it's almost like the middle one would have been the left wheel of this track. Okay, I see what's happening. So this one and this one are the track that merge this way. And then the far left, let's label them 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 and 3 were one track, and 2 and 4 were another track. And of course, since it's a merging switchyard situation, we don't know which one went which direction, but 1 and 3, 2 and 4. Those are the track pairings. Okay, let's follow the left track first and see where that goes. Oh, I think we missed it. Okay, we're still on it. It's going this way. Okay, it looks like it turns into a swamp up there. Let's go back to the intersection and see if we can find where they merge. All right, so we're back at the switch yard, as I'll call it. That track followed there into the swamp. Now we're gonna follow the right 2, which would be tracks 1 and 3 that overlap back there. Now, tracks 1 and 3 seem to follow straight down the creek bed before getting lost about right there. You can't really see them anymore. A couple lines, groove right there, but by about here they lose visibility. What I'm going to do is what I always do is go ahead and throw the drone up there, see if we can get any overhead view of anything farther down. A few miles down that way is the Colorado River. If you're trying to get up into Austin and you only have a cart and a horse, look at that brush. Even today, super thick, super dense, impossible to get a cart to roll through that. Look at this nice riverbed. It's pretty dry right now, late October, so we just have a small creek run down there. It's perfect. You could easily bump a cart up here. Yeah, it's bumpy, but it's better than driving through that brush. And you will eventually start wearing away some of these natural rock fissures into cart tracks, making those cart ruts. So that's where we have the overlap of the natural and we have the human activity on top of it, which blurs the line a little bit. Let me show you another place where that's really happening. See right here? That was probably a cart rut at one point. But look at how the river has just taken it, softened the edges. The river's taking what was a fissure, then became a cart rut, it's going back to a natural feature. And that happens over and over and over and again. These right here, well, if I were to tell you that's a super wide cart track, well, that'd be incorrect. These are where water has run off from the hillside down. These are the natural ones. It's so difficult sometimes to differentiate between natural and unnatural cart tracks, but it's critical you keep both those facts in mind anytime you're trying to figure out what's going on, because you could start slipping into nonsense land. I think this is about to get a wee bit gnarly. We got about 500 feet to go through this green swamp, all the while looking for cart tracks. I have found several locations upstream that look promising, But looking at it from your computer is never enough for me. I want to go right over and look at it with my own eyes. Whew. That's going to be fun. And just like the people of old, it does look like it sucks, but it still looks easier than going along the edge. So let's do this. Woo! That is cold. And I thought it was about 6 inches deep. It's about 18 inches deep. This is why I brought a change of socks. You might wonder why I'm walking up the creek rather than just parking over there. Something I really do try my hardest is to not trespass. I don't jump fences. I'm in Texas and I definitely don't want to get shot. So the best thing I can do is start from public access, and waterways are waterways. Whew. That is deep. I wish I could tell you how much it stinks. It looks like it shouldn't stink. It just looks like clear water, but it really does stink. I really hope these are cart tracks. If I walked a half mile through this water and don't find anything, it's gonna be pretty sad. Dim da dim, dim da dim. People think it's all fun and games having a YouTube channel. It's not bad, but the water is getting deeper and stinkier. So there is that. Whew, I am wet. Okay, we're getting close to where I saw on Google Earth the cart ruts. I think they're just right up there. So just a few more yards through the muck, and hopefully we'll get to it. That's why I'm walking up the creek. I really cannot legally leave the creek, I don't believe. There's all these no trespassing signs, so I will stay in the creek. Okay. So far, these little grooves right here appear to be natural. Look how they meander, how they eddy. So far, these are looking to be natural grooves, so we got to find the parallel ones I was looking at on the map. It's possible they could be underneath all this green gunk, and I just wouldn't ever see them. Check the map really quick and see how much farther upstream I need to go. Okay, it does look like they're up around the corner a bit. So we do have a little bit more swamp walking to do before we get there. Ooh, I think we're starting to see a groove over there. Maybe. What I'm walking on right now, I don't know if you can tell, it's not rock. It's like a really soft sort of sandy clay situation. So I don't think you would see those permanent grooves. That might be the start of one right there. It's hard to tell. And when I saw the Google Earth footage, it could have been a time of really low water. Oh, there we go. I see them, but they are underwater. Can you see that there? See that double set of tracks? Yeah, that's definitely parallel, absolutely parallel lines. Going right through that swampy water there. Let's jump between them. Yep, that's unmistakable. All right, so we got some deep cart tracks here, but they've definitely been widened and worn away because they're not in as firm a rock as they were up at the other locations, but that's really interesting. Wow. Great. Now I just have to walk all the way back down.